Hey all, support operations sync September 6th. We've got Dan and Lau here at the moment. So the first thing I want to kind of do is show how to create a Slack workflow, namely the one for adding the LNR emoji stuff. Nabil or I think Rebecca asked if we could put it in a different channel. Nabil wasn't sure how to do it. So I wanted to kind of show how I did that, show how the sausage was made. So let me go ahead and share my screen and show you how that's done. I'm not bringing. All right, so you should see the J Collier Test 2 channel in Slack, correct?
Yep.
All right, cool. So to start, you'll go up here to where the channel name is. This works on any channel. I just picked this one because it has nothing in it. You'll click this. You go to integrations and add workflow. It will then open this Slack workflow builder box, copying this internal request one. So what I'm going to do first is copy the messaging, just because I don't want to have to try to format and type it again. So we'll click create. We're going to call this internal requests.com. I'll rename it later to actually use the correct channel. So we are going to do an emoji reaction. We want the support comm channel. The emojis we're dealing with are internal request and IR form. We're going to click next. So we'll add a step. We want it to send a message. We want to make sure that we say it to channel person message. There it is. Paste our messaging we're going to use there. Delete that extra new line. We don't need to add variables or anything. We're not using that. We quickly look at this and make sure that looks like what we want. That looks correct. We'll update the actual picture used in a bit. So then we're going to add a step. We want to add a spreadsheet row because we want to track these. I'm going to type the name of it. I know this is emoji usage. The sheet we're using in particular is LNR. For timestamp, we want to add time when workflow started. Then we're going to add a column. For user, we're going to person who sent original message. We want to use the email instead of the name. And we will save it. So with that, you can publish it. I'm going to go ahead and quickly edit the settings here. Actually, I'll do that off camera. But yeah, to edit the emoji stuff, you just go ahead, or the icon, you just go to settings, edit the icon. That's going to open my file viewer. I don't want everybody seeing my files. So when we're done with that, we're going to publish. And it's good to go. And Slack throws a bunch of little confetti and everything. So we'll stop the screen share. But that's basically all there really is to doing it. Obviously, what you do in the actual workflow can get complicated. It can be simple. It's really difficult to say just offhand what you're doing without knowing the task. This particular one, adding an emoji reaction, we've done it a few times, so I've gotten pretty good at building it because, repetition. But you can do all kinds of cool things with the workflows. It really depends on what it is you're looking to do. But any questions on that front?
Can we capture them as, is there an API or something where we can capture them and source control them?
I believe there's an API with Slack, but I believe the level of access you're going to need with that API token is probably going to be problematic.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it would be nice.
It would be nice to have these in a repo or was kind of controlled that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you could build we could build a Slack bot that has a watcher that watches for that exact event, which is kind of what a Slack workflow is doing, and then have that run, have it deployed via the CI/CD and have it done that way. But that's going to have a resource cost that's going to be, a lot more complicated than just using what's already built into Slack.
I'm just wondering, even if even just once a year, we were like, can you take a copy of these workflows? IT ops, please. But I don't know, maybe that's just paranoid.
Yeah, I kind of wish that we had a better way to manage them other than just the Slack workflow, method there. I don't necessarily love it, but at the same time, I don't want the level of access that would be required for it. So I can kind of understand, like, yeah, I kind of get it. But yeah, that's basically all there is to that. Dana Beal,
Hi,
not like a whole lot
sorry.
complicated to it, but no, you're good.
So, Jason, you remember we have to work on that workflow thing? I couldn't add myself over there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just got done doing it, so you'll want to watch the review, the recording stuff.
Ah,
After
yeah,
that.
the recording. All right. Oh, all right. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
It looks like we can you can download the workflow file, apparently. I just linked to it in Zoom chat. Now, I don't know if you can then upload it.
Let me try that. Let me try that out. Yeah.
I'm wondering if like downloading it's cool unless you literally can't use it to restore, at which point.
Well, I was just thinking like as a reference. Even if you had to go through and do the clicky style, if it was like somewhat readable, then you could at least be like, oh yeah, I forgot it updates a row in a spreadsheet. Like, because the thing that it does in Slack might not be all of the steps that it actually does.
I'm gonna download that file real quick and see what it actually does. I can tell you I'm not sure what it does since the file name is Slack or .slack workflow. Oh yeah, no, it's just a giant JSON file with all the stuff in it. Why would you give it a? It should have a .json workflow extension, not a .slack workflow. But I'm guessing with API access, you could use this to install to create one. I'm guessing on that, but yeah, it looks like a JSON file, so we could, in theory, at least get them into a repo. I don't know how useful that would be, other than like it's there. You could compare contrast, but you're still gonna have to do the clicky. There's an import option for workflow builders.
That seems
and
promising.
it wants the .slack workflow file. So maybe we could just download these and commit them and just say like delete the existing, import the new one.
Oh yeah, there's a workflows Slack API. Yeah.
Yeah, API wise, I think we still need that like higher level of access, and I'm not a huge fan of that. But
well, but I mean, knowing that exists and knowing that we can put them in a repo, we could certainly petition IT ops to create a project that pulls in other projects, and so we don't have direct access, but they have some sort of Slack automation thing that pulls in all the workflows from our project, puts them in the API.
Yeah, let me look into it, because looking at this JSON, there is no way you're going to be able to build this manually, like just by typing out the pure JSON of it. But something that would grab JSON files and sync them should be good. Just in case something goes down in Slack, we at least have them for importing, even if we don't want to do it for creates necessarily.
Yeah.
So I'll make a project with all the support ones, at least the JSON files for them, with like the note of no, we will not convert these to YAML. They're not really meant to be human readable at that point. They're just kind of a versioned, controlled storage of them. I'll kind of do that and then write maybe some process stuff in the handbook and link it to you, Lyle, for us to go over of like, if you have to build a workflow here or edit a workflow, here's what you should be doing, which would be like edit it, download the file, update the repo, et cetera, et cetera.
I like it.
Cool.
And then can this is not a question you have to answer, but a question worth answering would be like, if you change the name of the workflow when you import it, can you change, like, say you wanted to, I'm thinking of like a fork and merge kind of workflow where like I want to test, I want to start with something that's already there. I want to add a couple of steps, but I don't want to do it on the live workflow. Can I like fork the workflow, do my own thing in my own channel, test it out, then download the result, and then upload that to the live one?
The problem there is like the source ID and all that's going to be different when you made it on a different everything. But in
Oh.
theory, you could look at the like actual JSON parts that control the actual steps and all that and say, okay, this is what I'm copying. And I think that should be the same. Admittedly, I would have to play around with that and see exactly, like I'd have to deep dive into what that JSON file says because I've not done that.
Yeah.
There's no reason I can't do that. It's just one of those of I have not done that.
No. That's why I said you don't have to answer it right now. Just dreaming.
Fair enough. All right, so next item would be, I know I had said I'd try to get the responsibility things done by Friday, which was a weird thing for me to say, having taken Friday off. But I got delayed on them. I got them just about balanced and added like the one new thing, and it immediately skewed my results. So I am going to redo them this week and start the right way, which is add the new things first and then start balancing, not balance and then add the new things and then immediately realize my balancing is bad. So I should have those done by, end of this week, and then next sync we'll kind of go over the tasks for the responsible parties to go update their issue templates and all that fun stuff. Nothing too difficult to do, but I've set a lot of those up, so it's good for you to kind of get some hands-on experience using the GitLab side of default issue, default MR templates, and all that fun stuff. Because most of them are using that. Some of them are using actual like .gitlab/issue templates, but those are pretty rare. And trying to deprecate those more and more just because we want the default one to be used. That makes more sense than having templates for 50,000 items for most projects. Obviously, like support ops project will always have issue templates because it's a catch-all and that's what they're there for. Stuff like triggers really doesn't need to issue templates. It just needs one default issue. But I should have those done by end of week, and then next sync we'll kind of go over, I'll show you like doing it for ones that I'm responsible for, and then kind of have y'all go, I'll make a project, an issue, and have y'all kind of go do that for all the ones you're in charge of. Dan, most of your responsibilities really won't be changing because federal's kind of limited to you and me anyway. I might just shift you to primary where I was primary before, but I'll work all that out. Cool. Lyle and I are working on a new change level kind of process for support ops. We've got like the MR with just the very basic descriptions. I'm going to be working on an actual like workflow/process outline for them. And then we'll get it into the handbook. Me and Lyle will discuss that, get it into the handbook. And then next sync after that is done, we'll discuss that in more depth and kind of go through how that's being done, what we're doing with each change level, how to kind of determine a change level, stuff like that. It's a very new process, so things are still in flux. Me and Lyle are still figuring everything out. But look forward to that coming in the near future. For the contact sync stuff, still working on getting some beta testers for it. We've got some orgs we're contacting, and I was told last week by various people that, oh yeah, we'll get you an update. I got no updates. So I'm going to be metaphorically banging down some doors of, yes, no, do I have to find some new people? What's going on? But in theory, we want to have some beta testers, some customers beta test this process before we kind of just go live with it. There could be little kinks we got to work out. Could be that they don't like the YAML format. Could be they want JSON format. Could be they want CSV format. Could be they want insert file format here that I'm not thinking of. Could be that the sync has issues running at some capacity. We got to kind of look at all that. But yeah, still working on getting some beta testers for that. So that's where we're at with that stuff. I've figured out how to mostly automate the project creation. My idea is to take that ability to automate that and build that into the sync script so it does it for us. Obviously, with the beta test, we wouldn't be doing it like that automatically. We will manually do it. But that's kind of the core concept I'm hoping for, is to have the sync script handle creating these projects or whatever. I've worked with several of the key people who work with Salesforce to kind of help me figure out what's the best way to determine the sold to. We think we found a solid way. We found about 3,000 accounts in Salesforce that don't have that value, which considering there's about 50,000 of them plus in Salesforce, that's a pretty good margin. For those that don't have that, they'll need to like file a ticket, but we're still kind of working out all that process stuff. But theoretically, they'll need to file a ticket. There will be like an app in Zendesk that we can insert the email to use and then click generate, and it'll grab info from the org and do it that way. So worst case scenario, I'm hoping that the most ops will have to do is use that app to insert to put an email in a field and click a button that says create. Best case scenario, it's 100% automated and we don't have to do any of that. Cool. And the other thing for now, for all the PagerDuty issues, go ahead and assign them to myself. I'm going to be making a deep dive set of docs and possibly a level up course on how to just do all of the various PagerDuty things we have to do. We know the basics, but as we have been getting more requests to add me to this, add me to that, I am seeing a ton of complications. A lot of it due to regionality differences. Some APAC did it this way, EMEA did it this way, Amer did it this way, which is not ideal. We should all be kind of following the same general format and tweaking as needed. Whereas because various regions just set it up themselves, they all did it a different way. They're all using different time zones completely. Like as an example, the CMOC shadow is using Edinburgh for the time zone. I don't know why. And if you're not sure where that is, it's +1 UTC, which I can at least do that time math from UTC, but that's pending daylight savings time, which I don't even know anymore. They should be using some kind of routine scheduling. I also like ran into an issue today, and I talked to Rebecca about it, of 2 people in EMEA wanted to be on CMOC shadow. That's not possible with the way we're doing shadowing, though. One person will overwrite the other. So I think there's probably greater discussion to be had about how some of these schedules are set up and done. There's probably some edits we need to make some of the issue templates. There's a lot of confusion of, I wanted this person removed in October 1st. Okay, I've removed them October 1st. Well, I meant when they're done with their rotation in October, and I'm like, that's 2 different asks. So there are some possible updates we need to make to those templates to make sure that we're doing that when requested, we're doing what was asked any way that was intentional. So I'm going to deep dive into documenting how to do the various things, how to set up a new schedule and all that stuff, how to add a user, remove a user, schedule a user, and then some general rules for us to kind of follow when we're doing all that stuff, just to kind of make sure we're all on the same page on how to do that. And then we'll kind of do the boil down of, I'll have Nabil go through it and make sure he understands, and then me and Nabil will help cross-train the rest of you. But yeah, there's a lot of confusion to how to do some of the PagerDuty things, because everything right now is kind of unique, and that's obviously not ideal. We can't memorize 20+ schedules and how they're exactly managed. So we need to kind of get some of those unified. So expect some changes with some of the PagerDuty stuff. In theory, the impact to actual people using the PagerDuty will be will be little to none, because we're just going to clean them up and make them uniform. Obviously, changing the time zone stuff is where things get tricky, because that involves daylight savings time. So that's like a greater discussion. But like at its root, a global schedule probably shouldn't be using Edinburgh. Or if it's going to use an EMEA time zone, it should probably use, the core, or I'm sorry, wording. Amsterdam. And if we're using an American, a maritime zone, it should be using Pacific. And if we're using APAC, it should be using Brisbane, because those are basically the core 3 that we've decided for schedules. But I've seen ones using Arizona time zone was the one that caught me off guard of like, oh, why? That's even worse. Just use UTC at that point. And for those that don't know, Arizona is the only state in the United States that doesn't use daylight savings. For now.
Yeah.
I cross my fingers every year that'll change. I don't expect it to, but I really, really cross my fingers. The world needs to
They've
just
like almost
abandon
done it
daylight
a bunch of
savings.
times. they've like taken it up in Congress and then just not gone through with it. And it's like,
I passed Congress, so now it's up to Senate, but it's been pigeonholed, which, if you're not familiar with the American government system, is a fancy name for it's been put on a backlog. It's not dead, it's just queued.
Yeah.
And the pigeonholing system works on the most recent thing pigeonholed is what gets picked up in the queue. So yeah, no, not always great, but I always have high hopes that eventually every country will get to the point of daylight savings is dumb, get rid of it. I will say it was cool to watch a bill have 100% pass rate in Congress. I was like, look at that. We all can agree on something. And the agreement is daylight savings is stupid.
yeah, daylight savings, the penny, got to get rid of the penny. There's so many like stupid things that we just haven't done.
Cool. That's all the big things I kind of wanted to talk to you all about. Any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, observations? All right, well, if that's all we got, I'll kind of let y'all go back, have 7 minutes of your day. Have a good rest of your day, evening, night, afternoon, lunch.
All right, everybody. See you all. Bye-bye.
Bye, all.